What's going on, guys? James from Shoemaker Enterprises back with another video, and given that I have been slightly absent, shall we say, from actually making equipment-related content, I thought I would kind of get back into it a little bit just by taking a little bit of time to talk through my League bag, play a little bit of show and tell, and just kind of illustrate what I'm carrying right now to League and how I use each piece and what it does, how I see them relating, when I would use each of them, so on and so forth. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. My first ball out of the bag. This is easily one of my favorite balls. It probably is my favorite ball of all time, honestly. I've got quite a few honor scores. I've made a lot of money with this ball. Several honor scores, I should say. Several honor scores. Have made quite a bit of money with this ball in my hand, and it is genuinely just predictable, smooth, consistent, easy to understand, easy to read. It's the first ball out of the bag, first ball on the rack when I'm in any situation and I need to get a quick understanding of what the lanes are doing and where I need to go from there. The Envy Tour came out early this year, I believe. It's got a pretty strong cover stock. The Envy solid cover is actually the same formula as the original Envy. This is just solid black instead of those like red and orange or something like that. But so they took that cover and combined it with the same low RG, lower differential, moderate intermediate diff ASIM core from the Obsession Tour. So where this differs a little bit is this feels a little bit rounder and smoother and a bit more of a big banana shape versus the Obsession Tour. But that also means that this is functionally kind of somewhere in between what you would normally think of from reactive resin and what you would think of from a urethane ball. Like, it's got that level of blend of control on friction. And so as you can see here, getting into some shots, I am testing on Kegel Chromium at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas. So this is not the normal house shot. This is where I do bowl league, but this is not the normal house shot. I opted to use this pattern instead just to kind of show that it shows ball-to-ball differences a little bit. But right away here, you can see the first few shots looked great with the Envy Tour. Moving a little right, just kind of shoved that one a little bit, and then I think this shot is a pretty big, yep, I stood straight up on that. That is a whoopsie. Ignore that shot. But with all that said, it's letting me play kind of a little bit straighter, very, very smooth and predictable. I know what it's going to do. It's not jumping or really doing anything surprising or unnecessary. And unless I throw it like a complete dingus, I'm hitting the pocket a ton in this filming here. And that is very representative of what this ball is for me. I will usually be able to hit the pocket a lot with this on pretty much any condition, anytime. It's just a question of whether or not I can get all 10 pins to go down on a consistent basis. And again, unless I throw it like an idiot like I did right there. But, you know, even I started at second arrow and I'm already pushing fourth arrow and it's still getting the corners out. And that's without me really breaking down this lane all that much. I can easily get it to carry from fifth arrow or more in a normal league night. Last shot here, I kind of try spinning it a little more just to see if it'll hook. It doesn't, so it's probably not the right ball. Stepping sideways from the Envy Tour, the next ball we are going to be looking at is the IQ Tour Ruby. This is a newer addition to my bag. It had honestly been kind of sitting on the shelf for a bit and not really seeing a whole lot of use. But where this does have a ton of utility is if I need that same type of blend down lane from the Obsession Tour, but without as much early traction, this actually feels like a straight step down from the Obsession Tour. It's very, very familiar package. Unfortunately, that package was not the right ball for these lanes when I filmed for this. I struggled very much so to get it to hook in the right spot, to go through the pins the right way. It was as close of a disaster as you could possibly have while filming, essentially. But I mean, even then, you'll see as we go through this is the point of an arsenal, is different balls are going to succeed in different situations. And if there's more friction and I need to keep my angles a little more in front of me at the same time, this ball is absolutely incredible for that. But you can see, you know, here I'm just struggling to get it to climb the hill properly and actually go through the pins. You know, let's go weak 10 pin, wrap 10 pin. I think I catch this one a little bit more and stuff at 9 pin. Yep, there's the 9 pin. So it's just kind of this, yes, I could argue that I could spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to strike with this ball, but fundamentally speaking, there are simply better options for me to be using in this specific situation. So, I'm trying to do all kinds of things, loft it, catch it more, different things with how I'm getting out of the ball, and sure, some of them work and make it a little bit better, but again, I'm fighting the ball more than I probably should be. Take a step left and you can see it's just really, really slow and doesn't really make it around the corner correctly. Luckily, I have other stuff that makes it around the corner correctly for me, like the top speed. This is actually the third different top speed that I drilled. This was a ball, I believe it came out late 2022. This has been around for a little bit, but it is one that I'm incredibly comfortable with. This is the first one I've had this pinned down though, and that brings in an interesting bit of utility as kind of a step sideways from the rest of my arsenal. As you can see here, is kind of letting me, it gets through the fronts a little bit better than something like my NV Tour, but it's also a much bigger core and is pinned down. So that bigger core and a little bit more responsive cover helps it actually pick up and roll. But then it being pinned down helps control my directional change a little bit more. So you can see where the Ruby was not really making it around the corner and the NV Tour was this big, like slow, smooth banana shape. I'm getting a definitely more of kind of a pivot off of the end of the pattern, like a more of kind of what I think of as a pivot tumble type of shape that is still fairly controllable and predictable, but you can see even right there I got my hand around that one a little bit more and it hooked plenty. And this is as I'm chasing left, and again, this was not a pair that I broke down very much. It doesn't like to have super steep launch angles unless the lane is set up for it already, so I'm kind of on the edge of that right now. But if the NV Tour is close and I just need a little more kind of, how do I say this, a little more conviction in the mid lane, that's where the top speed really excels for me. You can see there I kind of closed down my angles a little bit for one and it hooked instantly. Go back to the left and it does the right thing. So definitely the top speed kind of likes to be faded through the middle a little bit more and kind of don't give away the pocket too much. But still is probably the biggest overall package that I carry with me to League on a regular basis right now. It just excels in that role really well. And so then kind of thinking through this same thought process of, arsenals are meant to function as a complete package. The last of the 4 in my kind of complete package is the Fireball. This is a newer ball from Ebonite. It's got the HK22 base plus the GB 10.7 additive package, which you'll recognize that from stuff like the Gamebreaker 2, one of Ebonite's best balls of all time. Combine that with a light bulb symmetric core. This got a low-ish RG and a kind of medium-ish differential. And this is actually a really nice sidestep off of my IQ Tour Ruby. You can see here, getting around it a little more, getting it to the right a little quicker, and it projects and blends and kicks off of that. And then these next 2 shots, I'm going to play back a couple of times because I liked that shot that got 4 through the middle. Tried to kind of roll it a little more and just kind of let it do what I expected it to. But then you go back and like move left off of that, throw it a little bit harder, and the ball doesn't really hook all that much. So then that's a clue right there. This is a weaker cover stock in terms of oil traction. And so this was the one that I felt I had to be the most careful with from left to still get it to hook in the right spot. And that usually is indicative of a cover that's a little bit on the weaker side. But this also has a much more definitive friction response than my IQ Tour Ruby. And as you can see here, I'm getting further left than my top speed, and except for that shot there where I threw it a little too quick, it actually is still is still getting the job done. It's still recovering and getting through the pins, and this look just tends to get better for me as I get later, further on in a block. And so that's where a lot of the value of the Fireball comes in for me. Is like if I need something shiny to keep it in front of me and control friction on fresh, that's where the IQ Ruby comes into play. The Fireball doesn't really excel at that as much, but if I need to get a little further left, open up my angles, and still have that conviction of how the ball reads the end of the pattern to actually still make the corner and get through the pins, that's where the Fireball comes into play. And so that's a quick look at what I've got in my bag right now. There's a lot more that I'll add in for tournaments, and I'll try to talk about this a little more as I'm doing tournament streams. Like I've got one coming up actually on Thanksgiving Eve, bowling a 6-gamer at Aaron's Family Fun Center in Belton, Missouri. And so that'll be a very interesting tournament. I'll try and put out a little something maybe to talk about my bag before I go in and try to, interact with you guys in the stream a little bit more as I'm bowling, explaining kind of my decision process. But one thing I've really been working on this year is simplifying my decision making and really trying to make it so that my decision making process is just significantly simpler from, moving from one ball to the next. And so these kind of core roles of like the benchmarky ball, the bigger, more chunky, angry ASIM ball with the top speed, the controlled shiny ball with the ruby, the faster shiny ball for kind of, transition and getting left a little more with the fireball. Having those types of roles and just always filling those roles in my bag has been incredibly helpful in a way that I've been able to kind of simplify my own decision making this year. So anyways, more content will be coming soon. Like I said, I've got a tournament stream coming up on Thanksgiving Eve. Also got some stuff coming up on the 1st and 3rd weekends of December, as well as other content coming soon. So definitely watch this space for more information. And otherwise, if you have any questions, don't forget to drop me a note down in the comments and I'll respond as soon as I'm able. And otherwise, I will see y'all out on the lanes. Good luck and good bowling. Peace.